Farmers in India are protesting against three controversial bills that have been passed by the Indian Parliament. In the subcontinent, over 250 million people have protested against this event, making it the world's biggest protest ever. These new laws, according to farmers, put them at risk and pit them against corporations that would further squeeze the already struggling farming community. This video is about what is happening and if India can find a solution to this crisis through innovative technology, investing in solutions that can help small farmers, and what possibilities could the farming community see due to this. These new laws, according to farmers, put them at risk and pit them against corporations that would further squeeze the already struggling farming community. This video is about what exactly is happening and if India can find a better solution to this crisis through innovative technology and investing in solutions that can help small farmers, and what a possible direction could be to help the struggling sector. India is a huge country, amazing economy, promising growth, and over the next 50 years is expected to be one of the leading countries in the world in terms of economy and GDP. Today, Indian agriculture sector is about 18% of the GDP. And despite this, there's many challenges that farmers are facing in India and in the Indian agricultural industry. Protests are happening right now in India where farmers are clashing with the government. And in contrast with what the rhetoric is, what the government plans to do, what the government says what it's going to do. Let's look at what the Indian farmer's life looks like. And what do they do on a daily basis? And let's understand how, under what circumstances are they operating in the first place? Let's understand that. Now, India, despite being a promising technology-driven nation that has incredible talent pools, resources, and it can propel itself into the future, there's a lack of knowledge, there's a lack of actual implementation of technology within the agricultural industry. A huge majority of the Indian farming community is formed from independent small farmers that rely on regular resource-intensive farming techniques, and this is the reality. There isn't artificial intelligence implemented, there isn't Internet of Things enabled, and there isn't automation on the field level at all. And despite agricultural field being such a major part of the GDP, the lack of access to technology is killing Indian farmers. Now, we need to understand that in India, there's a huge divide between the educated and the small community-driven businesses. At one hand, in India, India portrays this huge amount of talent, but on the other hand, farmers don't have access to machinery. They don't have access to cold storage. They don't have access to weather patterns, and everything that is happening is literally happening on their own intelligence. This is how India works without technology, manual labor, manual farming. Unlike the developed world, where typical farmers would have access to technologies such as weather data, GPS, and maybe there's automation in the farms as well with respect to irrigation. In India, these things are very much manual. There's none of that there, and that's very unfortunate. Now, climate change is a big factor in a rapidly changing agriculture industry in India. And quite recently, there's been locust attacks where a huge number of crops were destroyed. And experts suggest that this has never happened in a quarter of a decade. So adverse climate effects are a major cause of pain to Indian farmers as well. The Indian Council of Agricultural Research says that in the medium term, these could reduce agricultural yields by 9%. And so farmers have to fight droughts and floods and the loss of crops and infrastructure issues and loss of income. But there's hope that technology can change this, and we're going to look at that in just a minute. Now, did you know that in India, research says that about 16% of produce and about 10% of cereals are wasted every year? And that's a huge wastage of what farmers are diligently working to produce under the circumstances they're given. India's agricultural supply chain is disorganized and it's complex, and there's no data sharing, there's no traceability, there's no accountability and transparency in the supply chain. And that's one big problem at the farming level, at a logistics level, at the supply chain level. In the modern world and in a Industry 4-driven world, you're talking about countries such as the United States, France, Germany, Canada, Australia. In any of these economies, we've got access to technology. We've got access to technologies such as AI that's coming up that can help analyze information, that can help create better ways to deliver farmers what they need in order for them to produce what they need to produce. In India, the largest talent pool in the world, unfortunately, it is not happening yet, and that's unfortunate. Technology can help higher crop yield. It can help farmers irrigate their fields better. It can help them fight pests better. It can help them protect their livelihood in a much better way, but that's not happening yet, at least not in India. Again, let's understand the average income of a typical Indian farmer is about $650 a year. That's about $50 a month. And so there's a huge gap between what an Indian farmer can invest in terms of technology, what the price point is. And it's these challenges that India must overcome to move forward. It's impossible for the common farmer to leverage technology. It really sounds great that India has a national strategy on AI, on artificial intelligence, and India has said that agriculture is one of the top sectors where we want to drive solutions on AI. But where is the actual action on this? We can talk about big data. We can talk about AI. We can talk about analysis of information and farm data and what farmers can do in India to rotate crops. But this is all theoretical knowledge. This is 2020. The reality is that farmers are on the roads. They're on the streets protesting because government is unable to support them, their basic protection of their livelihood. And it's putting them in a market where corporations are most likely to compete with them to the level where it's going to drive that $600, $650 that I spoke about and drive that down to $300 income per year. Is that where Indian farming is going? There's been protests worldwide. Has there been any international cry on this? Not really. And although support is building for the farmers of India worldwide, there's protests around the world, but have world leaders stepped up and spoken about this? Well, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is one of the leaders who's voiced his opinion, and he said that, hey, everybody's got a right to peaceful protest, to which Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that this was unacceptable and that Trudeau should stop meddling in India's affairs. And he did this typical bullying thing that Modi does. And he basically asked Canadian Prime Minister to shut down. Now, Canada is concerned over violence against Indian farmers. Canada is vested because there's a huge Indian community in Canada. And as Canadians, we love India. Indian people are amazing. Indian culture is amazing. And I think in a globalized world where India wants to exert its might on economies, on politics, they've got to be answerable. India says this is an internal affair. Well, if this is an internal affair, then stop exporting your goods and just keep them in your country. Can we do that? No, we can't. So you can't take advantage of certain things, and when it's convenient for you, you can't say shut up to the rest of the world. That's not right. Justin Trudeau says Canada will always be there to defend the right of peaceful protests, and I really stand behind that message. And I want to echo that and say no matter where a peaceful protest is happening, whether it's in politics, it's policy change, it's abuse against people, it's marginalization of communities, there definitely should be protests to do the right thing. Now, let's look at the core of the story. Again, Indian farmers are protesting in recent months. India has made some changes to farming laws that happened in September of this year. And farmers are claiming that these laws take away the safety they have. It takes away the advantage they have with pricing. And given that the Indian farmer operates with a very slim margin and in circumstances that are really different to operate in, it leaves no choice, no protection, no safeguards to protect them against corporate greed, corporate takeovers, and the Indian farmer is going to see a huge squeeze in the next few years. The farming community says that they have not been consulted by the government on these laws and these changes, and leading associations have said that these laws have just been thrown at them. Now, India has one of the world's largest technology talent pools, and it can use this to develop solutions in the right direction, support industry, which is a backbone of the Indian economy, and support a large number of hardworking people who are literally responsible for feeding millions of people. 18% of India's GDP is farming. Agri-tech, however, in India has a lot to do it has a lot of steps to take. And for startups, things can be improved. In 2019 and 2020, Indian agri-food tech startups raised more than $1 billion with 133 deals. That's got to be worth something. And globally, AI applications in agriculture only have reached a valuation of almost $1 billion. And they say that by the Indian agri-tech market, presently valued at about $204 million, has just reached 1% of its estimated potential of $24 billion. There's a huge opportunity. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that I see a big opportunity of AI in empowering every sector in infrastructure, agriculture, and so on. And he said that at a recent conference that he inaugurated. But however, his tyrannical and lack of responsible action is far from what he has said. He says something, the Indian government says something, but they do something else. Now, most startups operate in the larger B2B space to cater for large farm owners and corporations. And what about the small farmers who form about 85% of the farming community? In my opinion, there's a huge opportunity that India is losing out on right now. Here is what India should focus on, and I don't mean necessarily the government, but as a community, and this message is for influencers and business leaders within India who can really help take the country to a better place. Number one, form a vision of the country, and this means not just a political or an ideological vision, but really an economic vision that has equality and inclusion built into it. Number two, use technology to gain an advantage in every sector, but you're facing a problem, period. India has the advantage of scale. It has a lot of talent. It has a lot of capacity to create good change, but that has to be backed by making intelligent choices, not bullying sectors and people like farmers. Number three, make the Indian agricultural industry smarter by subsidizing technology for farmers. Whether it's saving water or sowing better crops, getting access to information and data, and using technology to make better choices. Number four, regulate the investment of corporations in farming so that farmers are not taken advantage of tough pricing wars. Number five, develop more capacity to take criticism as positively as you can. The reason why someone is criticizing you is because you're probably doing something wrong. Next up, focus on developing low-cost tech solutions for the farming community and help farmers who are poor get access to weather data, technology-driven solutions that can help increase production. It can help lower harvesting time, get their crops to the market faster. You've got to reduce the price point on that. Maybe there's a need for Indian farmers to come out and say farmers' lives matter and stand out for what they do, which is drive about 20% of the Indian GDP. The Modi government has a history of marginalizing people who do not agree with what Mr. Modi and his government says. It's very much possible that farmers will not get what they want, and these protests may turn ugly and get extended and frustrating for the farming community. For now, the standstill still remains, and it's likely to last for weeks. I wish the Indian farmer all the best in standing up for their rights. There's definitely hope if India takes the right steps in terms of technology, in terms of guiding industry, in terms of working with the different sectors and coming up with solutions for farmers, the farming community, and then roll that out in phases and in steps rather than creating laws and rules that marginalize a community that feeds the world. Hey, this is Yan Khan, and thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to this video series and stay informed about current events, their connection to technology, and how does it matter, how it impacts you, and what we all can do about making this world a better place.